All right, here we are.
Yo.
Hello. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Wufo folks.
We've got 0 viewers on YouTube so far.
Has that ever happened before?
Oh, no, now we're up to 5.
I see 5
Good.
watching.
Okay. Hello, everyone. / the void. Welcome to Wufo, to our Wufo live stream. We are. Oh, hey, hi, Courtney. We are here with our friend Dash, who came up with sort of the seed idea for some of the fun that we're going to be having tonight. And we've got the usual crew: me, Garrett, Kai, aka the Van Meter Visitor. Emily may or may not be with us tonight. I think they're up to something job related, but I don't know. So anyhow, it's going to be weird and fun, and yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. It's been a minute since I've hung out with you weirdos.
It has. It's been too long.
Yeah,
It's
very happy to be back.
Too long. So what's been going on?
Well, first of all, Kai got a comment on your hat. It's a good hat. I agree. I meant to say something earlier.
Thank you.
And I thought about it. Jeremy, also great hat. Really good.
Thank you.
Garrett, I don't have
mediocre hat.
I was gonna say it's a hat. Hey, listen, last houses, I don't even have a hat.
Yeah.
So come in here to play hat god. Yeah, I've been really working. I think I talked a little bit last time about working on a show, trying to do a sort of a queer paranormal thing. I was telling you all a second ago, but we've gotten into some film festivals for it, which is very exciting. We got some awards in festivals. The Fortean Festival gave us the Gold Award for Best TV Pilot / Episode. Very exciting. And then the Association, I have to pull up the list. It's long. The Association for the Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena gave us Best Paranormal Documentary Gold Award at the festival, which is great. I didn't know that trans people were allowed to make things in the UK, so this is a good surprise for me. Nice to know that we're allowed to participate in the media over there. I love that. It's only there's maybe 50 very angry people who don't like trans people, but each of them has 100 Twitter accounts, and so it looks like, it feels like a much bigger.
Yeah. And one of them wrote Harry Potter.
And one of them did write Harry Potter. Yeah, one of them did do that, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been very exciting to get some of the festival stuff. Very excited to see where it goes. I am every day I inch closer to having something that I can show you all and show everyone, and it's an exciting time. But it's just sort of.
Can you just tell briefly what it is that you did?
Yes.
What and the title, so people can.
It's called Liminal, which is I when I found out about you guys, I was like, oh, sick, perfect. It's called Liminal, and basically the premise is that I think that queerness and transness are sort of intrinsically linked to paranormal and the metaphysical. And I think that it always has been, and I think it always will be. And so this is sort of my attempt as a queer and trans person who is into spooky stuff to sort of figure out what that connection is in a more tangible way, in sort of a way that I can tap directly into. And the focus is for this first season or first arc or whatever we're doing is in the American South. So we went to Tennessee for our pilot, and we're going to be sort of staying in the sort of the rural American South for this sort of first part. Also because I think that a lot of people out there don't know or understand that, the rural American South is full of cool trans people and queer people and people of color, and they are they're so like, I don't know, they're there, and their population has to be sort of gerrymandered into not being able to vote, uh, it's just to keep the sort of the idea that these are like angry, hateful places. And I'm here to tell you, I've had stuff yelled at me on the streets of New York for looking any number of ways, and it's like, there's hateful people everywhere, and there's cool people everywhere, and yeah, that's sort of that's the project, and got a little festival buzz, and we're just, every day, again, we inch closer to having something to show, and sometimes it feels like that also inches further away, or even, you might say, but we're working on it.
That's awesome. Are you planning on visiting St. Augustine?
I
At the lighthouse and the
don't know much about St. Augustine. I'm going to be completely
in Florida.
I know about it.
Oh, okay, cool. That's
Oh.
so it's my hometown.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's it's considered, but like they did a Strange Escapes there last year, I think, and
Okay.
it's the oldest permanently settled European colony. Like there are older European colonies, but
Yeah.
they were destroyed. Like nobody lives in them anymore. They were wiped out.
So
And there are older non-European settlements, clearly. But this one is like the only one that like the European, like there was there were Spaniards. They came and it was like 1565, and then they founded it, and like it's been occupied in some way or another ever since. And so there's like a 17th century fort, and like it's a very like sort of European feeling little town.
Yeah, totally.
And there's like a famous haunted lighthouse. They have a lighthouse there that's like, Zach Baggins has been to it, and
so it's legit.
yeah, and it's cool. And it's cool. It's a weird,
that's super
weird
cool.
little town. It was a cool place to be from.
Yeah,
it's still full of like the kind of rotten aspects of the culture that are endemic down there.
Right.
But it has like a pretty vibrant queer community.
Yeah.
There's a couple of organizations down there that are doing great work. They actually have had like, they had pride parades, like even though Ron DeSantis told them not to, that kind of thing. So if you ever decide you wanted to get down that way,
yeah, I'll hit you up for sure. What's some, what are some weird ones that you've encountered there, if anything?
I have had some really, really weird stuff there, and it's not the stuff that you hear on Ghost Adventures. The weird stuff that I experienced was all like, well, about the whole my psychic witch friend who kind of started me down on my own little paths.
I believe so.
Willie, I've talked about her a lot. Yeah. So that's a lot of that weirdness was her. And I've got this really long story that I said I was going to tell at some point.
Okay.
I don't know if now's the time to tell the story or not.
Do it.
I'd say do it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So maybe we should get like maybe we should get like the ball rolling on the show, and then I'll tell it later.
It's up to you.
If we have, yeah. I don't like, because I could see it eventually like just sucking time out of what we already have planned, and we have some weird stuff planned. So hi, Megan's here. Yeah, so but I see it's like a lot of the stuff down there is like the weird stuff is less spooky haunted houses and more like dank Florida swamps. Like,
yeah.
That's where I had the bulk of my strangest experiences, was like out in the woods, or out in the back streets, and like, because these, like, you're walking on streets and these bricks that are there were like taken out of houses that were built in like 1580 or something like that. So for the United States, that's like really, really, really old.
That's super old.
So the whole vibe is just really, really pretty intense. We some friends and I, we used homemade dowsing rods and mapped out all the ley lines in the whole town.
Cool. Sick.
On one of these little like chintzy tourist maps, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all the cotton candy stores and like the local pirates shop and the Christmas shop, and then like we have like ley lines.
And now all the ley lines. That's great.
So it's cool. It's a cool place to grow up. But you know, I'm glad I don't live there anymore. But I'll tell that story in a little bit. I'll tell it.
Very cool.
This is the time.
I'm personally I'm very very interested in swamp ape conceptually. So those are the swamps. Very much a place. I also want to see a gator in the wild. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a little scary.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
I hadn't seen many of those in St. Augustine itself, but I used to go kayaking in the Everglades. And
I learned about I was watching a thing about crocodilians in general, just sort of as like a category of life, and how there used to be so many crocodilians, and now we basically just have like 3, right? Which is like crocodiles, alligators, and then like some of the smaller ones.
Mhm.
But there used to be like full like land dwelling running like dog sized ones. There were like giant filter feeding ones that also lived in the swamps, because like, and this is one of my favorite things about sort of evolutionary biology in general, is as soon as there's like any mass extinction event, one thing is like, all right, it's time to be everything now. And I love that. So like one where it's like, all right, this crocodilian, your job is lion, basically. And then this one's job is regular crocodile. And then this one's job is like stoat or whatever. I love that. That's the coolest shit in the world to me.
I want to visit the universe where jellyfish have that moment.
They might. You never know. They might. That might be this universe. And you know, as long as the oceans don't boil, which at this point maybe, but might be this one. Who knows?
But I mean, there are those like volcano snails that literally grow like their own chainmail to live in volcanic vents. Why? I'm sure that there are jellyfish that can like hang out in boiling water and be like, "Oh yeah, happy spa day."
Jellyfish are a good one too, because they do sort of feel like adapted to be sort of generalists. Like there are jellyfish all over the place.
Well, and they have multiple life phases, like the Hydra life phase and the Medusa life phases. Yeah, they're already real versatile.
Aren't they? Like, there's at least one jellyfish species too that's functionally immortal. Like, it doesn't die; it just clones itself, and
that makes sense. I believe it.
So I also understand and that they're not 100% sure that like lobsters die if you if you don't catch them.
Yeah,
you know, if they weren't delicious.
My friend David, back in the ye old days of being a touring stand-up comic, David and I used to go on tour a lot. And one time I was wearing one of his shirts that he used to sell, and it was a green shirt with a turtle on it, and it just said "Never Die." It was a turtle that he drew, and it said "Never Die" on it. And I was at a gas station, and the guy at the gas station was like, "Hey, is that true?" And I was like, "Sorry?" And he's like, "Is that true? The turtles never die?" And I was like, everything dies, man. And I laughed. So cool. I just got to say the coolest thing.
You got to say the worst thing, Dash. It's the guy's name.
As your exit line, everything dies, man. Leave the gas station. That's the coolest.
That is cool.
That's so
that is cool. Yeah, that is cool.
Devastatingly cool.
Yeah, that's actually a line I could see coming out of the Jurassic Park franchise.
Yeah,
trying to keep things relevant.
No, it's good. I love those movies.
I'm a huge fan of them.
That's the movie. First Jurassic Park #1 turned me into a dinosaur kid, which I was, and just M, and then also made me afraid of the dark. Those two ones. Those are the my connection to those movies. That's
yeah. I'm a fan. The whole franchise. There's even there's the animated series Camp Cretaceous.
I haven't seen that yet.
It helps that I have an 11-year-old, and
Sure.
so of course we a huge dinosaur fan, and as one will be when one is 11.
Yeah.
And so we watched them all, like everything, the whole franchise. Played the Lego video game.
I was gonna say the Lego Jurassic Park video game is great. I very much enjoy it for like the immersive quality of getting to go kind of like explore the parks, which is something I very much wanted to do when I was a kid.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Please, can I go live on that island forever? I don't know that.
But Garrett, you've been working on a deck of Jurassic Park inspired tarot.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't have it with me, but I was messing with that, thinking just about those scenes in the movie and the characters and like the archetypes, and trying to match them to the traditional tarot. So like there's like, well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have to ask about your major arcana.
Oh yeah, well yeah, like there's like the one that I think is really fun is the chariot, but it's the Jeep upside down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and then there's Nedry like facing that. You all know the dinosaur probably with, I don't know which one it was.
Blockosaurus.
I was waiting for that. So Nedry like facing that as the death card, and like also the shaving cream with like the the DNA in it.
Yeah,
I think it's like kind of like facing the consequences of all of his actions, and yeah. And then there's like the high priestess is Dr. Sattler, and what else is there?
Taking the Triceratops poop, right?
Yeah, putting her hand in the Triceratops.
Yeah. Oh, what was the cup of the?
I don't have like I couldn't think. I was just saying the cup, but I didn't know which one that matched to yet. I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah,
that could be the tower, right? Because like that's like, or no, moon's better because it's like reflections of stuff. I was gonna say signs of change.
Yeah, the moon's really good actually for that, probably.
Right.
The moon is great for that.
Yeah,
you could do the Jeep falling out of the tree for the tower.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's good. I was kind of thinking of that part where the banner drifts down.
That's great too.
Yeah.
There's also the eunuch system, which is the magician, and that's her figuring out that she has all this esoteric knowledge, and and then there's also I think that I couldn't do this one. I was messing with ChatGPT to draw things, but it wouldn't let me do this for obvious reasons. The hangman card, but that goat that is waiting to be slaughtered as like,
that's
and
great.
all the standing on the
yeah.
I don't so
no, go ahead.
Okay.
I don't know if I 1,000% agree with that particular rendition, because one of the queer readings of the Hangman that I really love is that it's very much about a situation that you can get yourself out of if you understand that you are actually the one who's in control. And I, not to get all
no, it's good.
No, it's great.
This is what I came here for.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ever since Garrett said Dino Terra, my brain has just been like, what if it was real and what would I do? And Garrett's like, whoa, I was just like trying to make some Jurassic Park parallels. And I'm like, no, but seriously.
No, I mean, it's kind of fun to mess with. Just to think about all those ideas, and just like dinosaur stuff and like the dinosaur politics in general, I think. And
Tim getting blasted off the fence could be also sort of the hangman.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say, so Garrett hadn't seen the whole series though.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I was going to say the hangman could be from Jurassic World when that nanny is dangling out of the pterodactyls
Oh, you mean the cruelest thing in the entire film franchise?
It is. It really is.
I need to see this. I'm missing out, I think.
It is. That's the most horrifying.
To the character who deserves it the least, who's just working. Yeah, the Jurassic. I love the franchise. It's crazy to me. They keep making these, and every time they make one, people are like, "This one's not good," and it's like, "There's only been one good one," and it's wild that people are surprised. And I'm not saying. Listen, I love the sequel. I love number 2. I love number 3. What's his name? The real life Ned Flanders man. He's in Mystery Men. Also.
I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to remember and I can't.
I have to look this up. This is very important.
The second one is
William H. Macy.
Yeah.
That's who I thought. When you said that Ned Flanders, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, he looks like Ned Flanders exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a very fun movie. But in terms of like, is it a good movie? No, certainly not.
No. The second one I love. I love it because they bring the T-Rex to San Diego.
Yep.
And it just full on eats a dog. It's just like eats some
drinks chlorinated water out of the pool. Not very good.
Yep.
T-Rex. I love the second one. Everyone forgets that Vince Vaughn is in that flick. You tell someone, "Hey, Vince Vaughn is in," people are like, "Oh yeah," that's the response because everyone forgets. Jeff Goldblum's Black Daughter kills a velociraptor with gymnastics.
Yes.
A great sequence of work.
There's also another huge sequence in that one that would be good for the Hanged Man, which is when they're in the research lab. It's a mobile research lab, and it's dangling off the side of a cliff.
Really good.
I was thinking about that scene from the Lego game, and I was like, that would be a decent Hanged Man.
So we need a Lego Jurassic Park tarot deck as well.
Okay, yeah.
I'm here for this. Okay. I will gladly replay the game as many times as it takes to do everything.
Maybe we should talk about why we're talking about
it.
Yeah.
So I had this idea. And I was like, I'm going to start doing TikToks about this. And then I certainly did not. But I thought about it. And so I'm glad. Part of the reason secretly that I brought it to you, I was like, they're going to take the ball and run with it. And I can trust that this idea. But I was thinking about where like it is. I don't know how to say universally agreed. But I feel like the vast majority of people in weird spaces agree that you can connect with pets, like beloved pets, that you can speak to or talk to. I've actually been seeing a lot of really, really adorable stuff on TikTok of people setting up like Dia de los Muertos, like shrines for their animals that they love. And I feel like we sort of accept this idea that animals have some sort of lasting imprint or spiritual afterlife or some sort of form that we can connect to. And I was thinking about dinosaurs because I'm going to be completely real. I had this idea for a horror film that I will never make because I'd have to write it. It's too much. But about like a haunting, and it's a haunting and it's a classic haunting, and they get like the exorcist in, and they keep seeing like a thing with horns, and they're like, oh, what is it? It's a demon. And then it's not a demon, but it's a Carnotaur poltergeist. It's the poltergeist remnants of a Carnotaur, which was the big sauropod with pointy horns on the top. And I was like, that'd be sick. That'd be a sick reveal. It's just an angry dinosaur ghost. But then I was like, okay, but what about dinosaur ghosts? Why not reach out? Because their descendants are all around us. There are avian birds or dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are all around us all the time. And you see like cassowaries and like the big ones still look like it, but the rest of the little ones are too. And so I thought it'd be cool to try to talk to them.
Yeah. That is an awesome idea. And then we were doing 13 Liminal Nights, which if you missed last week's episode, or if you missed it, we've been doing it for years. So if you've missed out on 13 Liminal Nights, we decided we wanted to make Halloween longer. Like instead of 12 days of Christmas, we wanted 13 days of Halloween. So
I like it.
we came up with this idea of 13 liminal nights, and each day you do something, or not, whatever, that will celebrate some aspect of like liminality or whatever we call it, but also could be used as like a ritual for sort of self-development or divination or something like that. And so each day / night has a like kind of a theme. And November 1st happens to be what we call All Elders Day, which is a day for reaching out to, I mean, it could be as literal as like, hey, call grandma, man. It's been a while. But it could also be, go and commune with an oak tree or do ancestor work. Like it's a really great day for doing ancestor work of some kind. On setting up your altar or whatever. But then we were thinking like, what better elder to try to communicate with than like the ultimate elder ancestors, which are dinosaurs, clearly.
I think that's sick as hell. I think that's sick as hell. I do think if we're okay, well, hold on, because if we're being like ultimate elders, we got to get to that first son of a bitch that crawled up onto the land from the water. Like the first. But if we can't go ultimate elder unless you have a different ritual plan. But some very old ones for sure. Our first famous elder, I think we could say.
that makes sense. Yes. Although we could go for microorganisms, really, if we really wanted to go all the way back, which theoretically we've done with our aerial entities in a jar ritual.
Well, and All Ferments Day.
Yes, and All Ferments Day. True. Did anybody leave a code out for the Vernow?
I did. And actually, this year I was like really nervous to do it.
Really?
Like, because I was late at night and I was like really freaked out that I was going to open the door and it'd be standing there. Because all those pictures you put up everywhere, like, and then when I opened it, it was like a gust of cold air, and I was just like, "This fucking sucks." It was like terrible. And then I could never get my like sleeve to get out of the door. It's like a really pain in the ass, and I was like nervous the whole time. And anyways, it's just weird how actually, like, even though I don't know, for some reason I really spooked myself out. Anyway, but I didn't get any presents in the pockets.
Did you see the Vernow stuff, Dash? Are you familiar with
that? Not see it.
So this is another one of the 13 liminal nights. It's all protections, and the idea is to set up to basically like take this time to go ahead and like put out your spiritual protections for the year, or your magical protections for or like refresh them or whatever you need to do. And it's associated with this myth from like the ancient Quatrian civilization that some people might be familiar with, of this entity called the Vernow, which is like this deer spirit that was cursed. And now it's like a skeleton, and it's like a humanoid skeleton deer spirit that wanders through the world. But it can never get warm because it's lost its skin and flesh. Okay. And so it goes from door to door. And then you're supposed to put out an old coat on your door, because then it'll like take that, if it goes by your house, it'll take the coat instead of like coming in and like messing with you.
That's great.
But if it doesn't want the coat, it'll like leave gifts inside the pockets, like, like rotten berries or
Is it too late for me to do this? Can I start doing this now?
I don't know. I mean, that's the night that Vernow supposedly walks the earth, but
okay.
So we've been like, there was one last year. I actually found something in one of my pockets that I had not.
What'd you find?
But it was like a little stone.
That's very cool.
So that was really cool. This year, I had nothing. I put the code out, but nothing happened.
So Garrett, then the gust of cold wind, that's especially spooky because that's
I know it was like legit. Yeah, and I was like throwing St. John's wort outside and like working as fast as I could. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So that one's a cool. I think that's one that I could see like catching on.
Yeah.
200 years from now, we'll be talking about like, oh, I've got for the Vernow.
Although if things continue, I think the Vernow might just end up being able to get warm because
that's very true.
The planet does continue to heat up at a really alarming rate, actually. So maybe bad for us, good for the Vernow. Maybe
there you go.
I mean, depends on where you live too.
Sure, yeah, true.
The Vernow just might have to move to a different part of the globe.
Yeah, has the Vernow considered moving somewhere a little bit more, more humid, south of the equator, perhaps?
We'll have to ask it next time we see it. And then yesterday was a day we don't like to talk about in 13 Liminal Nights. Like,
okay.
It's just we're not even saying what the day is could invite trouble. So
wow.
But it might not. Like, it might not invite. I mean, it's all up in the air.
As everything is. I think so little is boiled down to a hard science, as I prefer it not to be.
If anybody else wants to follow along, it's still going. I think the last one is the 6th of November.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to liminal.earth/13ln, but you could do it anytime. That's when we decided came like, if you're going to do it as sort of a ritual or method of divination to have a question answered, like, you can do it when it doesn't have to be on Halloween.
I love this. I will join in for some of these.
And we need TikTok. We have TikToks for like a lot of the first ones, but
okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
I will say it's been very hard for me to feel. I've just been reposting TikToks at this point, just because it feels, all things considered, ongoing genocide and ethnic cleansing. It feels so weird for me to be like, oh, you ever think about Mortal Kombat character? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't feel like the time for me in that. But I do like these ideas though.
Awesome. I feel like
yeah.
I'm gonna let somebody else talk for a while.
I was just I was gonna say I did whatever the day that's the stone book day. And I thought it was pretty funny because for some reason there was a foot theme, and I don't know if anybody else listens to Dash's podcast, but I couldn't help but think of your witch's feet situation.
Witch's feet. If anyone wants a sticker for my podcast, Psychic Friends, or if you want to visit our podcast, Psychic Friends, on the World Wide Web, you can go to www.witchesfeet.com, which is the home of Psychic Friends on the World Wide Web. There's a really, really bonkers straight festival that we do every year in New York that is a pagan fair. And by a pagan fair, I mean they set up some tables in Astor Place and then just kind of go for it. And it's great because they book musical acts, and there's like, it'll be like, here's my favorite. Okay, so my absolute favorite, we love her. She's the best. Ashley Draven Cruz is her name. She does like full corpse paint, and she sings songs about the Morgan and being a witch. The best. And then she does this thing at the end where she's like, witches aren't supposed to sing this song. And then she closes on New York, New York, which I guess witches are not supposed to sing. She's the best.
Amazing.
Yeah, really good. Did not know that witch rule. And here's my question is, who set that rule? Was it a rule that the witches came up with, or was that Sinatra's? You know what I mean? Who knows which side, or was it like a mutual agreement? You're not going to sing this one.
Does it apply to everyone, or is there like a geo-local specific, like, can some witches be granted dispensation to sing this song?
Well, so I mean, Ashley Draven Cruz does sing it, and she breaks that rule consistently on a yearly basis. But then after that, it'll be like now here's a acoustic singer songwriter, and then here's a death metal band, but it's like there's no like through line. It's great. It's a wild thing. They do not provide us chairs, but it's called Witches Fest, and Rosa saved it in her calendar as Witches Feet on accident, and I was like, well, that's our thing now. Now that's ours. That's one that, and I looked it up, $12 a year to have witchesfeet.com, the domain. So it would be foolish not to buy it. Throwing money away.
I feel like that came up around the time that you were considering buying the psychic one of the psychic Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I feel like witchesfeet.com was the right investment.
A sounder purchase. So we one of the psychic Facebook groups that we're in, someone was like, we're all done. We're gonna sell this Facebook group. Transaction that I guess is possible. I guess you can sell a Facebook group. No one's stopping you, I suppose. And Rosa and I went through a good bit where we were like, is it worth it for the bit to buy this psychic face? Because it's not, it's not a thing that I want, I don't I don't want to be the owner of it, but we didn't buy it, but we thought about it for a while.
There's a whole thing where people it's like I know this from another group I'm in, but they start a group, and so there's this one group that so there's this group called Cursed AI, and I know not everybody here is like huge into AI, so I want to at least acknowledge that. But I'm in this one called Cursed AI. It's just shit posting. It's like AI shit posting. Some of the stuff's really funny. But one of the common themes they do is there's another group that has nothing to do with AI. It's just for people to show pictures of like their relatives doing art.
Okay.
But every single one of these pictures is clearly AI generated.
Okay.
It's like, look, and they're done as like these inspirational posts, like, my 9-year-old said he was a terrible artist, but look what he produced. And it's like a photorealistic sketch of like a model on the beach somewhere or something. And then every single one of those will have about 200 to 300 comments, clearly by bots.
Yeah.
They'll say, wow, great picture, great work. All the images have like all the earmarks of AI art, like
totally
hands, and like you can tell. Apparently what's going on is that somebody seeded this group and then turned an army of bots loose on it.
Okay.
And then it's going to have like 25,000 users or something, and they can sell that to a brand that wants all of the information. So they're scamming the brand still because it's all their bots that are doing it.
See, and I feel like as a person, and I will say for the record, I dislike a lot of the professional ways in which AI has sort of infiltrated creative spaces, but it's great for shit posting. Are you kidding me? Do you remember the golden? There was a golden like 2 weeks before everyone figured out that all of those AI things were just like training to steal jobs from artists and stuff. But for that 2 weeks where none of us knew that, it was like Shrek trail cam. That was great. Are you kidding me? That was good stuff. Seinfeld Hellraiser collab. That's what I want. That's what it's for. Yeah. I believe in my heart of hearts that AI is designed to tell me what it would sound like if Frank Sinatra sang the Evangelion theme song. Like that's the good. That's the light side of the force. and then but it is also the One Ring, and a lot of people cannot be trusted with it.
That's hilarious. Well, I guess the long and short of this is that today's All Elders Day, and so we're going to try and summon dinosaur spirits.
I thought it would be sick if people in the chat, if you all want to do a quick search of like what's a dinosaur that's been found near you geographically or like around your area, that way you can kind of focus in on sort of like who you're, and it doesn't have to be, you could try to talk to whoever is your favorite dinosaur, that's allowed too. But I'm thinking CJ, you say OMG as much as you want, no one's judging you. I think if we have like a specific dinosaur in mind, I think that would be cool. That'd be a cool way to do it. So like, it doesn't all have to be the same. Like we can each sort of have it, you know?
Cool. Yeah.
So I did put together a little, and this is like totally, we haven't actually even said, this is like what we specifically are going to do on the air, but I did put together this little, I threw up a little, Greek magical papyri inspired ritual for using a scrying bowl and so this is a really, really common method of divination in the ancient world. It's one of the oldest, I learned. They have records of this going back to like the Sumerians, to these tablets that they had, where you would get a bowl of water, a container of water, and you'd toss oil into it, and then you'd read the drops of oil, like see what kind of shapes you could figure out.
Okay.
The Sumerians had this whole science where like they would be like, if you have a drop that's one diameter next to one that looks like a kidney that's halfway sunken down, that means, it's time to rotate the crops from barley to rye this year, whatever, so you can really get sort of into the weeds for it. But for most people, it's just like look in and see like that blob looks like a dog, like that.
Yeah.
And that works just as well too. So when I was thinking about this is the idea of oil, because dinosaurs, if they still exist, beyond the birds, are part of the fossil fuel sources. They're part of the sources for fossil fuels. So anything petroleum based, like oil, like motor oil, could be used in this scrying method. And so I actually did get
amazing. That's
some.
Great.
And so I'm going to use that, but I'm going to put the link up here to this ritual so people can read it. Let's see, where did it go? I just called it a ritual for paleo scrying because that sounded green.
I think it sounds sick. I love that.
Oh, CJ's got a good one.
I gotta look up this dinosaur.
We have a duck-billed dino too, CJ.
Oh fuck! If you Google that one, the first art is a child's drawing of it from DeviantArt.
Oh my,
that's spectacular! Good work, CJ.
Parasaurus. You know what? I can show it. Let me Google it up.
Yeah.
Parasaurus. Can somebody spell the?
I just copy pasted it.
ISSOURIENSIS.
I see.
Zuriensis.
Do you see the DeviantArt post?
Yes.
Really good.
Okay, I'll share it.
There are no dinosaurs. That I love that. That's spectacular. Oh, and under that, look at that. There's more. This is good.
A Campanian of the late Cretaceous. Whoa. That's really cool.
So there's no dinosaurs in Rhode Island proper. I have learned through Googling, but we do have a cat-sized theropod. I think it's a theropod. Called Podokesaurus, which I like the name.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Very much. Podokesaurus. Podokesaurus, which
Podokesaurus.
It's a good name. That's in the sort of the New England area.
Oh, look at that! I like this.
It's a cool buddy.
It looks like a little like a compy.
Yeah.
Those are those little like. They look like they're like if geese were like even worse.
If geese were worse, yeah, all right.
Had fangs and attacked in packs. That's. We do have a question, a snack report. That's a good question. We got to do that while people are looking for their dinosaurs. Anybody have any snacks to share?
I took some Halloween candy from Yuki. Because there's red number 40 in this, so we can use it for the scrying.
I got pink starburst on account of the red number 40 for the scrying.
No children came, so I have so much candy.
Hell yeah.
Candies.
Wow. Veggie soup and saltines. The day after Halloween, CJ's having veggie soup and saltines.
I gotta say, I'm not gonna gatekeep the word snack, but that is a meal, CJ. I think we're a people with rules and distinctions. Veggie soup and saltines. Unless it's very small, very small. You could do veggie soup scrying when we get into it.
Oh yeah. Has anybody actually done alphabet soup scrying? That seems like obvious to me. That just seems like so obvious.
Chili with noodles. I've heard about that. I've heard people doing it. I don't want to do it, but I'm not going to tell you how to live,
Dash, don't you eat things out of the rotisserie part of the gas station?
What? No, of course I do. You mean the best food? You talking about a breakfast pizza from the Midwest, the number one food?
I don't buy it. I know you have taste in food because I see your wild mushrooms posts.
We've been doing a lot of foraging. I feel like you all will be proud. We do, even when we don't want to go out and like walk around, we'll just drive through the park and just pull over when we see maitake. And we got like 7 pounds of maitake doing that. It's crazy.
Nice.
Oh, wow. I never find out. The only thing I find around here are oysters, which I love. But, yeah.
You got lobster mushrooms out there, right?
Yeah, but not nearby. Not like within walking distance of me, which is about.
Lobster mushrooms are my favorite.
Oh,
I've never had them. I want to try them so bad.
100%. Have you had lobster before?
Yeah.
They're not that actually close to lobster. I don't even know why I asked that.
They do look like a lobster tail, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've found that in terms of the sort of the seafood fishy, lion's mane is a really good to sort of replicate. And I eat everything. I'm not like a vegetarian or a vegan or nothing, but I am trans and non-monogamous. So I have to know how to cook it. You have to know how to cook vegan to exist in this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or your dating pool shrinks significantly.
Listen. Important.
I see cooking like knowing how to. It's like cooking for me is like it's just another palette to work in.
Totally.
That's what it's cool about it. But lion's mane, I agree totally. My favorite thing to do with lion's mane, like fork shred it or like shred it with your hands. Mix it up with some like mayo, mustard, breadcrumbs, and Old Bay, and like it's just like a crab cake.
Yeah, totally. We've fried those, and they're really really good. We did a crab cake Benedict with those. With that and Cheddar Bay biscuits, we did.
Oh, wow!
I tell you what, I'm coming to your house next time you make that, and then you can come to my house, and I'll take you out to go find lobster mushrooms.
It's a deal. It's name. Listen, find me something spooky, nearby, and then I can make it a business trip.
I lead ghost tours here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
I roasted pumpkin seeds. I actually did it this year instead of just like threatening to do it. I did it finally. I'm proud of myself. It's not dinosaur related,
How they turn out?
but I thought about going to get some flamin' hot whatever, and I just ever since I realized that the flamin' hot is dinosaurs, I haven't partaken.
Yeah. Red 40. Uh-oh.
Everything's dinosaurs though.
Maureen hit one out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do a zine that's snacks.
That'd be sick as hell. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Cooking is ritual, right? Cooking is ritual in the process of making something and like turning it into something. Transformation, alchemy, turning things into other things. Wufo snack scene. I love it.
Yes. We're gonna do it. What did I see? Oh, I saw something in the private chat. Never mind. While everyone is looking at their dinosaurs, I wanted to say we have one dinosaur that's ever been found in Washington State.
Okay.
And it's one of these deals where this is kind of funny to me. Like you see it in paleontology, you see it in anthropology a lot, where the amount of dinosaur fossil they found was like this big.
Oh, I love that.
On the beach on an island in Puget Sound.
Okay.
In one of the San Juan Islands in Puget Sound. That's it. That's the only thing they found. And they determined, oh, this was a full-on dinosaur. Like it was wait, are theropods the ones with 2 legs, or is that sauropods?
I think theropods got 2. Let me look at the difference between.
Because I know one is the
theropods are bipedal,
okay,
mostly carnivorous, and also include birds. And sauropods are the quadrupedal ones.
Yeah, so it is the only dinosaur that's ever been found here, and it's rare to find dinosaur fossils because we were underwater for most of that era. But like, I'll show you. This is the funniest like artist depiction of this thing. Where'd it go? There it is.
Oh, that's great.
It looks like something from Land of the Lost.
I was gonna.
Wow.
I wonder how old that depiction is, because I feel like because they sort of that looks like a pre figuring out that they were covered in feathers one.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be an older depiction. I don't know, but
that's great. Oh, what's it called? What's it called again?
It's called the where'd it go? Where did it go? Oh, darn it. Of course, this doesn't have it. Apparently, fossilized clams are the like most common fossil you'll find out here.
All right.
So there you go. There we go. The Berkeley Museum.
Oregon.
Hell yeah.
Versions of those.
That's so cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, they were digging up.
Yeah.
They were looking for ammonites when they found this. And what the heck is it called?
Helen White, what's the Oregon fossil dig?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Suciosaurus rex.
How do you spell it?
S-U-C.
Okay.
I-A-S-A-U-R-U-S.
Suciosaurus rex.
Rex.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
This is great because if you Google it, a lot of the images, or at least some of the images, are. Here's one of it in a green forest, photoshopped, and then here's one that's the same image in front of the seal for the state of Washington. Very funny.
That's ours.
It's Washington's official dinosaur.
Yeah, because it's
The
literally
process of elimination. Yeah.
Great. I mean, hey, listen, it's a good one. It's a good one. I got a little cat-sized one that I like very much.
But other than that, we were all underwater. I guess Shrimpy wouldn't count.
I was trying to get Shrimpy as our state cryptid.
That's
I was bugging. I made a change.org petition. I have a state senator here that I bug all the time about it. And yeah.
You say that in a way that makes me think it didn't go good.
Well, she ended up not. She was. I think her like. She had a like nephew or something that was like, you should make Bigfoot a state cryptid. So she actually like introduced a bill, and I was like, what are you doing? You live in Bremerton, like you can't be like Bigfoot's everywhere, like
yeah.
And so like I was harassing her office. I mean, I'm kind of friends with her, but
yeah, that feels like a very big swing to be like Bigfoot's ours actually.
Yeah, but she put it on her like senator's Facebook page, like a poll, like what do you guys want me to do? So
damn, that's democracy, I guess.
I know.
I just remembered. I think I know what Shrimpy might be.
Okay,
I think it's the ghost of an Anomalocaris.
One of the coolest animals.
I knew Dash would know what I was talking about.
One of the coolest animals. I always confuse it with the other one.
The one with 5 eyes.
Yeah, what is the like? I think I'm looking up a thing to make sure I'm talking about the right. Yeah, Anomalocaris is the one. It's the first apex predator on the planet.
Yes. And they found it in the Burgess Shale, which is where they found it's in BC in British Columbia, and they found all of these fossils from the Cambrian explosion, which was like this era after one of the mass extinctions where life just took off in like one of the widest what's the word I'm looking for? Like life was like, okay, I'm gonna see what I can do.
Yeah.
And like came up with the weirdest, strangest looking creatures. And this was a giant shrimp. This was a 7-foot long shrimp, and it was an apex predator.
I think if I recall, and one of the cool things is that it was originally identified as 3 different creatures. Like they found the guys, and then they found the eyes, and they found a different part, and they're like, this is clearly 3 different animals. And then eventually they figured out, oh, it's one crazy looking thing.
Right.
Wow.
The other one I always think about is where's the one? Opabenia. That's it.
Opabenia, yeah, that's the other good one. That one's got a crazy like pincher on a. A lot of them are good because it does look like you just told a kid like, "Hey, go wild. Tell me what you think animals should look like," and they came up with these cool things.
Here, Opabenia has 5 eyes.
Yeah,
and this was like a thing that like lived in the ocean.
What?
Well, it's really cool to think about. Like, the different like formative life forms, right? Like, why are so many animals on this planet have like 5 digits? And it's because an early amphibian, some of those earliest amphibians that came out of the water had 5 digit. Well, I think they had more, and then they slowly like dropped down to 5, and that was the thing that stuck. And so now, that's why like bats and elephants, even if you can't see all the digits because they're pinched up and weird and stuff, they still have the same 5 digits. That's like life blueprint for any sort of like tetrapod, non-invertebrate. You don't have to say non-invertebrate. Hey, did you know that you don't have to say non-invertebrate. You could just say vertebrate, as it turns out. As it turns out, they already got the word for that. But yeah, all the stuff that's like but I love the things like having 5 eyes is like a thing that's just like nature just being like, let's try this shit, let's see if this works, and then it didn't, and so like, all right, a different number of eyes.
Do you know what is that thing where like evolution keeps trying to turn everything into crabs?
Carcinogization. Carcin is something.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that? I just saw like a TikTok about that recently, and but like it's like it keeps. I don't know if it's like urban legend or if it's real, but
so it is a kind of real fact that is very quick to go viral. So people are like, "Yep, we're all turning into crabs." A lot of things keep becoming crabs, and a lot of things that weren't necessarily crabs have become crabs, and it has to do with the crab like structure is really, really good for a couple of things. And so that's the thing that I was sort of talking about before of like different life forms fill different niches. Sort of like at some point in the history of existence, every animal has been every other animal. And what I mean by that is like at some point whales were basically like a thing that was like a goat, right? At some point whales lived as ambush predators that did like crocodile stuff and were like semi-aquatic before they went back into the sea, which that's my favorite thing is aquatic mammals that were like, we tried the land thing, it sucks, we're going back. That's the best. But that explains why like whales and dolphins and I think manatees have a tail that flaps on a vertical, on like a y-axis instead of an x-axis. And the reason for that is that if you exist on land and your body has to support more weight and a big skeleton, it makes sense for your legs to be under you instead of off to the side. If you look at lizards legs are off to the side. And so when they turn and they run, right, they compress along. So lizards can only run for as long as they can hold their breath. I don't know if you knew that. I think that's pretty cool because their lungs compress when they run. Lizards and fish never had to support as much weight. And so their legs never went full under them. But the mammals that came on land did, and then went back into the sea. Their spines were still different than fish, which is why shark tails go side to side, but dolphin tails go up and down. But at some point in history, right, dolphins were like some kind of fucking goat or whatever, which is, I love that. I love that everyone has had a turn at everything, you know, like that's spectacular to me.
One of the things that reminds me of, it always reminds me of, all of this stuff reminds me of, is like how massive timescales are, and we just don't understand that as humans. Like we cannot comprehend that. Like the amount of time that, like, I mean, the whale was probably living on land for like 1 million years or something like that, like a vast amount of time, like longer than the whales were like land dwelling animals for longer than humanity has existed. I mean, that brings me to this book.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Who Lies Sleeping? I don't know if anybody here has any strong opinions one way or another on what the ultimate fate of the dinosaurs was. But I can't remember where I heard about this book. It was some online rabbit hole, of course. It's long out of print, but it's called The Dinosaur Heritage and the Extinction of Man. And what it's like really, really, really well researched. I'll give it that. Like this is a scholarly book.
Cool.
And its general thesis is that we cannot grasp, because of the scale of time between when the dinosaurs lived and where we are, we can't grasp what actually was going on like a civilizational level with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And so he posits that there was like an advanced civilization of dinosauroids. And they were like, they looked like the dinosaurs. Like this isn't like human-like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You know, this is actually like like the Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus could like manipulate its surroundings and create tools and had like a language and philosophy and culture. And that the technologies that they used were so much more closely aligned with like nature that like we have no way of detecting them, because it's just like, oh, that's a tree. Well, no, it's, you know, it's like those bridges made of trees that they make in India, you know. Like 10,000 years from now, nobody's going to know those bridges existed. But the dinosaurs, in some way, shape, or form, I haven't finished the book, made it to the point where they cause their own climate change.
Interesting.
And that's what sort of led to the ultimate extinction of the dinosaurs. I haven't got, like, I don't know how he, like, there's a lot of hand waving in this book. I will be which doesn't take away any of the magic for me. But so that I don't know how he hand waves away the whole like asteroid thing yet.
Totally.
But his, like, the message is clearly in this book, like, the dinosaurs like screwed up their planet and it caused them to go extinct, and that's happening to us too. I mean,
I mean, half of that I for sure think is true.
Yeah. So I ordered this book, and I ordered it from, I think I ordered it from Powell's online.
Cool.
And it was like, you know, 6 weeks before we'll be able to get it. And I was like, ah, screw it. So I placed the order and promptly forgot about it. And then 6 weeks later, I got a notification that it had shipped. And then 3 weeks after that, it hadn't arrived. So I complained to them that it, you know, hadn't come back yet, and they just refunded it. Oh. And then 4 weeks after that, I got a package from France.
Okay.
And it was the book.
That's great.
Completely, like, I have no idea how that magic happened, but this is one of my most prized possessions now.
Yeah, that rules. It sounds really cool. I'm definitely like, I'm curious, how much does it feel like the author is like a true believer in it, or if the author's like trying to make a point about climate change?
No, he's a true believer in it. I'm almost certain of it. Yeah, Mike McGee, and I think he had like a couple essays online somewhere too that you can find.
Sick.
So yeah, no, he's totally doing both.
That's great. I love a theory. I love a theory someone believes in that like no one else is bought in. You know, that's spectacular.
But did you see the tagline at the top? More sensational than Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean,
I also like that on the back, it's got quotes like imaginative and intriguing, frighteningly convincing. And it's just that it's like some readers' opinions.
That is very good.
And the publishing company is Ask Why Publications.
I mean, that's good advice, though, right?
Yeah, right? Ask why.
Gotta ask why the dinosaurs died, and then Mike McGee will tell you that it's. So, like, okay, but how did they do climate change if they were using like tree bridges?
Well, I don't know if they were using tree bridges or not. I was just using that as an example of like a technology. Like, you know, there are plenty of. Oh, you know what? A good example would be is like the forest gardening societies in the Amazon basin.
Yeah.
Like white colonizers came over and were like, just a bunch of, you know, primitives living in the jungle. But no, it was actually an extremely advanced agricultural society that was working within the natural world to create massive forest gardens. They had like everything grew fruit, like all the game like would just wander through the village. You know, the fishing was amazing. Like they worked like 2 hours a day or something like that because they just lived that way. But
there was a lot of that in the Americas too, where if you read the stuff that like the settlers and colonizers here were like, oh yeah, these forests are great. You could just, God made these paths, and so the people made those. People made those actually.
Yeah,
it was work that was done to make this walkable.
Yeah. So in a similar way, like perhaps the dinosaurs had that kind of, you know, we can't even conceive of what they were doing. So
I mean, it's cool. I like it. I like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm subscribing to the Patreon just yet, but I do. But I do like the idea.
As far as I can see, like this is the why not? I mean, where's the harm?
I like that you say that in that way, as if the entire thought and experiment wouldn't like give an aneurysm to several like paleontologists. Do you know the big there's like the big drama dinosaur discourse right now is the Spinosaurus, the villain of Jurassic Park 3. Right now, the people are fighting about it. They've been fighting about it. How aquatic this thing was, how much time did it spend swimming versus walking or whatever. Huge fight. I can't even summarize all of it, but the people are very upset. They just figured out that its jaw hinges like a pelican. Very cool, but they can't figure out that it opened like predator style or pelican style. They don't know from the bones, but it did have a hinge jaw. Very exciting, but like the paleontologists are like fighting in the streets about it. It's really good.
Amazing.
They get mad. So I do love the like, oh, who what's the worst that could happen if dinosaurs had technology? We're like, paleontologists would be very upset, I think.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
As someone who wanted to be an academic,
yeah,
like I realized at a certain point that all of that like bluster and chest beating is just about justifying your salary. Because you're probably not a good teacher because you came up with one idea and you haven't changed your mind since then. And the stone tablets that you wrote that one idea on are still what you lecture from.
Totally.
Yeah. It also reminds me a little bit of like Triclavianism. You know, have you heard of this? So this is from religious history, and this is like medieval, like early medieval theology, like Christian theology, was like so in the weeds because it was like kind of like there was the Great Schism where Orthodoxy split off from what has become Roman Catholicism and all of that stuff, but it was over stuff like Triclavianism, which was like a heresy that people like would kill one another for, which said that there were only 3 nails nailed into the cross during the crucifixion.
Okay, yeah.
And like this was a huge point of contention because like if that's not true, then something else happened and then something else happened, and I don't know exactly what it means getting into the weeds, but it's like, okay.
I love it. I just there's something so special to me about a hyper focus, not people killing each other, obviously, but a hyper focus that is like, this is the thing that my entire life is about. And then someone else being like, okay, but my thing that my entire life is about is not that, is the opposite of that. And it's like, all right, well, you two have a conversation and I'll watch because it's good.
Do you know about the Crystal Palace dinosaurs, Dash?
No.
Oh, so the Crystal Palace dinosaurs were built in London.
Oh wait, no, I do know about these. So
yes.
I think I do. Tell me.
So they are these concrete representations of what people thought that different dinosaurs looked like.
Okay.
And it was that they were created based on a collaboration between one of the first paleontologists and a sculptor who also was involved in creating Central Park in New York, as a matter of fact.
Amazing.
Weirdly,
I Googled it. I do know these. These are spectacular.
Yeah, they're amazing. But they're so fun because it's what people at that time understood. Like they were like, this is our best guess based on everything that we figured out on what these things look like. And some of it is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is the ichthyosaurs had these like wild kind of digging thumbs.
Yeah.
But the Victorian English folks put their thumb horn, like their weird digging thumb thing on their nose.
Iguanodon you're thinking of.
Yes, sorry, not
Yes.
Iguanodon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I also I made a paleontologist really mad one time. I went to visit the Jurassic Coast in England and went fossil hunting with some paleontologists who lead walks out of the Mary Anning Museum, and they asked if anybody knew what a plesiosaur looks like, and after none of the kids around raised their hand at all, I was like, I know, because I counted to like 3 Mississippi. They had their chance.
Yeah, listen.
Looks like the Loch Ness monster. I've never had. So like I was like, oh no, made them upset. Yes, those are the Crystal Palace dinosaurs.
They look so good.
I think there's one that like they put seats in and you could eat eat at a table too.
No, that picture is actually about, as a fundraiser, they hosted a New Year's Eve party inside one.
Cool. One of the things that I like about the Crystal Castle ones too is you can really see sort of how this art, because it makes sense, right? If you are a human and living at this time and you're like, I don't know, Komodo dragon probably, right? Is probably what this thing looked like. Probably is a Komodo dragon. And so you see everything is sort of a variation on that sort of body plan. And I just think there's something really cool about that, about sort of like, I guess like the paleontology of paleontology, where you can say like, all right, now how did they get to that thing? What was happening in the world? I think that's what I like about any sort of like, literary analysis, any sort of analysis that has to factor in like what was the world, in what world were those things made, and why did they look like that? It's cool. I don't know if y'all saw, but CJ has tagged everyone in an Instagram post with the setup for the ritual.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah, let's get on that pretty soon. There was something else I remember what it was. Someone was asking about if there had been any like Thunderbird sightings or and I thought maybe Kai might want to talk about the Van Meter Visitor, since it's their official name.
I just love the Van Meter Visitor because it's from Van Meter, Iowa, which is a really small town in the middle of nowhere. And to have a bunch of people in 1903 like come, not 1 or 2 people, but like a number, I want to say at least 5 or 6 people over the course of several nights like saw this creature and reported it, and it basically looks like a giant pterosaur.
This thing is sick.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a very cool guy.
But so Dash, you mentioned before we went live about how like there are certain pockets of Christian fundamentalist belief, like folks who are like the earth is 4,000 to 6,000 years old for sure, exactly that old, and that's it. I grew up in one of those churches. I asked what happened to the dinosaurs when I was really little. And then I got told to ask the pastor because
asking the buck.
Yes. And the pastor said that after there were 2 of every kind of dinosaur on Noah's Ark, but after the flood, there weren't the kind of plants that the dinosaurs needed to eat to survive, and so that's when they all died.
That's I mean, bravo to the ingenuity of that. It's very creative.
I think that all of the like the Van Meter Visitor, Loch Ness Monster, and various other like things, I think they're dinosaur ghosts. That's what's happening.
I think that's like, Although it looks like this Van Meter visitor had like a laser beam.
You know, it looks like a kaiju. It looks like a
I was gonna say it looks like this guy looks like he fights Godzilla.
yeah, it looks like Rodan.
Looks like Rodan a little bit. I love that.
Yeah, he's cool.
You've given me a book to purchase.
You know, the funny thing about the plants thing too is that like the whole the grand scheme of things applies to plants too. Like T-Rex lived before flowering plants.
Yeah.
Like there would be no flowers for T-Rex to hang out with.
I love shit like that so much. Like the Appalachian Mountain Range is older than bones conceptually.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to
Wow.
me. That's so cool.
Yeah. Or like the grass. Like there would have been no grass for like most sauropods to walk on.
Yeah.
Like flowering plants. It's really weird.
It's so cool. it's like, I don't know, it's so spectacular. Even like the idea that at some point teeth didn't exist, you know? And then and then they did, and it was like now most things got teeth. That's crazy.
So should we start talking ritual?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions specifically that we're gonna ask, or
I think I'm interested right now in the idea of sort of legacy and continued existence. And this idea I've been thinking a lot about, and this is gonna get dark for a second, and I apologize, but I've been looking at how I perceive a lot of people who are well intentioned to how they react to living through history. And there's this idea people keep saying, like, oh, I'll be remembered. I can look back at this moment and know that I was on the right side of history and stuff like that. And I think it sort of stops people from participating in this moment and trying to make it so that history in the future is not quite so grim and not quite so bleak and not quite so filled with senseless death. And I think there's a way that people comfort themselves by sort of being like, well, I will know where I stood on this. And I think as we're thinking about ancestors and ancestor work and sort of the ancestors of life, I think that's very interesting to me to think about, like, this idea that nothing ever really goes away, and we're sort of in history in this moment. You know, we're constantly existing in history to varying degrees, and I don't know. I think just sort of that nebulously, you know.
yeah, that's good. Are we gonna
be a downer? It's hard not to think about a free Palestine as everything's happening right now. So, you know, in our lifetimes, a free Palestine, but you know, just thinking about living through history and what that means, and existing as a point.
Yeah, it seems like the dinosaurs would be good to ask about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. You know, like,
yeah.
I mean, even this idea that people, if you ask anyone, are there dinosaurs, they would say no. And there's dinosaurs all over the world. We call them birds now, you know. Like those are the idea of the dinosaur has everything to do with the way that the hips are oriented, and birds still got those, and they still are those things. Yeah, I don't know, just the idea of continuing to exist, and what that means for the sort of whatever dinosaurs we are trying to talk to today.
Cool.
I'm curious if there's like any untold stories that they want to share, or something.
Yeah.
Like something like it's important for that to pass on that maybe got lost, just in general.
CJ wants
dinosaur myths.
Yeah, what was like that's great. What are the myths and the beliefs and the
spiritual practices? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
That's
I
what
mean,
I like to know.
elephants, you know, seem to have a concept of mortality. I'm curious,
right?
Dinosaurs in their existence, how that went, how they sort of conceived of it.
Has anybody else this just jumped out at me? Has anybody else seen white wispies on Garrett's camera? I haven't been looking, so I don't know.
It's just my
Oh.
instant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
Debunked.
CJ says, do they observe and witness us, or do they exist in their own plane?
Yeah. Ooh.
Question. Yeah. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can't. I was, I'm not quite there yet. What were you going to say?
I was just wondering. So we're gonna do the ritual, the paleo scrying, but I was wondering if we wanted to add any other divination methods on top of that, or
Yeah, I only did that so that there was an option that existed. Like, people, we could all do our own things too if somebody wants to.
I like your thing. I'll grab the bowl from my shrine and then give it a little wipe. Come with me into my kitchen.
Show us your fridge.
All right.
No.
It's real. It's embarrassingly empty right now.
All right.
Big old kimchi, more kimchi, gochujang, very important for making. Yeah. We do a thing. We do a chili. This is from my brain. Very proud of this. We do a chili, and I was thinking chili flavors, right? Salty, spicy, sweet. That's also Korean barbecue palette. And I've been trying to connect more to sort of Korean cooking because I was raised very disconnected from my culture. So we do like a Tex-Mex style chili, all the beans, ground pork shoulder, but with a gochujang, ginger, honey molasses base. So it's like Korean barbecue palette, but it's chili, Tex-Mex chili with all the beans and peppers and all that kind of stuff. Nice. And it's fucking crazy. It's so good.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Do you have a name for it?
Just call it Korean chili.
Yeah. Sounds
fair
good.
enough.
No need to be fancy.
Fair enough.
All right, so got water. I got my red number 40.
If anybody needs to, to visualize a fossil, I have a few fossils here. I can show you real quick. This one was a thrift store find. I don't know. It's like some company.
Okay, that's the store brand fossil.
Or franchise or whatever. And I guess they must have given out these paperweights at some point. And it's a sauropod fossil from Montana.
Sick.
Yeah, 140. It's a Jurassic. I don't know. I don't know if it was like a sample they gave out or like they're in the fossil trade. I don't know. Here you go.
That's wild. This is a corporalite. It's fossilized dinosaur poop. This is from the Jurassic Coast, so it's actually probably technically fossilized marine reptile poop.
Fair,
but
Hey, look, if the Crystal Palace dinosaur people didn't know that they weren't dinosaurs, I think we can get a pass on this one.
Exactly.
I also have this Ankylosaurus dermal armor.
Cool.
So it's like a scale from one of those guys.
I love Ankylosaurus so much. I love the Thagomizer. Such a cool named thing.
Is that whether did they call that? It's official. Like, is that what they call it now?
I'm pretty sure that's the official name of it, unless I've been lied to by any number of dinosaur YouTubers.
That was hilarious.
I've brought some feathers that I found out in the woods on one of my many forages and hikes. Got a blue jay and then also a northern flicker. I couldn't tell what that was for a long time, and I asked one of my real dork ass animal friends. I was like, Mo, what is this? And immediately he's like, northern flicker. I was like, great, thank you. Appreciate your bird expertise.
It's specifically a yellow shafted northern.
Yeah. He's been doing workout in California on like conservationist trail stuff, and he just got, this is crazy. I think I can talk about this. He just got on a trail cam a picture of, I'm trying to remember the exact, I'm pulling it up, but behavior that has never been documented before in nature or anywhere, I think. There we go. doo, doo, doo. It's here we go. A fisher and a long-tailed weasel like together hanging out on a trail cam,
Huh.
which is wild. Yeah. They don't know. They don't know that they don't know that they do that. They don't know they've never seen them do that. The scientists are all freaking out. Like, do they hang out? Do they have a relationship the way that like badgers and like foxes will hunt together? They don't know. It's very cool.
Wow.
Nature is cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's sick as hell. It's sick as hell. I wish we would stop burning it down.
That would be nice. Yes.
That's just me though.
Yeah, that would be absolutely delightful. I also have, and I recommended this too on the list, is there's nothing to me in my personal like magical natural item arsenal that's like cooler to me than amber.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's a crystal, it's sap, it's like fossilized tree blood. The little insects and stuff get trapped into it.
Yeah.
You can rub it and it smells like
That's so
iron
cool.
or something like that, and then you can use it to generate static electricity, which the word electron, which is the Greek word for amber, which
Oh, cool.
just blows me away. And so if you're gonna have like a a prehistoric ritual of some kind, it's kind of cool to have around. So
here's a question from Dizzy in the chat that I actually really like, is that if there are any dinosaurs that are interdimensional, not like ghosts or ghostly. And I think I really like that as someone who's very interested in like the Fae, whose like main thing is grabbing people and putting them in other dimensions and stuff. Like, why not other life that's existed on this planet? I think that's a great question.
I agree. So should we each ask our own questions, or
I think pick one of the questions that we've talked about, something that sort of like connects with you, and then I think because we're all going to be looking at shapes and sort of seeing what we see, right?
Yeah.
So I think just be open. I think maybe I don't know. I think we'll get a wide variety of things if we all sort of go at it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, let me put that link up again.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat too, just so it hang on. There's a clickable one somewhere. Oh, and the other thing I put at the end of this, I was thinking it would be cool is because I was like, where are we going to dispose of? I mean, I'm like, I don't want to pour motor oil down the sink.
You're probably not supposed to do that, I think.
No, definitely not. But then I was thinking, like, well, what if I just take the whole kit and caboodle and put it in a jar and seal it up, and then I can just use it for this whenever I want.
I like that. I think that's sick.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with motor oil on my end, but I do like the solution should you have motor oil involved.
I mean, or any oil that you use, anything you uses, you could do that. Like a little. I mean, because like I like that's the kind of like folk magic and stuff that I like is like I don't want to like go out and buy like a $75 crystal ball off of Etsy. I just like give me an empty mason jar and
that's the one I will say. There's a thing that you see on ghost shows a lot. I forget what it's called, but it's like a $600 box that just says words. Yeah. That's crazy to me. That's a crazy purchase to make a box that says words when I feel like there's apps for improv artists that if you press a button it'll say a word, and I don't understand the discrepancy in price between those. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you got 600, but like it's not like like a spirit box. Totally, that's not everyone has a radio that they can automate to go through things. Totally, that makes sense. But a box that just say words, I don't know.
But it's scientific. I mean,
it's interesting.
Scientific equipment.
I see. Who am I to say no to science?
So if everybody has all their props, let's see.
I actually found
got some
the oil that I will be using is one of my favorite places to obtain oil is NA Botanica. And so I will be using Triunfo.
Nice.
Triunfo in the hopes that our dinosaur experiment is un triunfo.
Awesome. So I used if you're sort of newer to us, you might not know. I'm into like Greek and like it's the Greek culture that colonized Sicily is kind of like as far back as my personal ancestor work goes, which is a long way back. So I'm kind of into like that's my jam for doing like rituals and stuff like that. So like the Greek magical papyri, Greek, a lot of Greek myth and stuff like that. So that's my long way of explaining that when I wrote this ritual, it was based sort of with that background. It was based on that ritual structure and uses words from the Greek magical papyri. If you don't want to do those words, don't. This will work just as well doing whatever you want to do instead. So in theory, but I just wanted to throw that out there. This is not meant to be like, something that you have to do to get this to work. But
yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna win in Rome or Greece, I guess.
Yeah, and there was this. I mean, it was a whole tradition that seemed to work for them. So I figured, well, let's give it a try. And then I went with Sobek, which was the Egyptian crocodile-headed god, the god of crocodilians, because that seemed to
nice.
Well, now I'll say again, crocodilians are not technically no.
All right. Should we start?
I'm enjoying my petroleum products here. This is good.
I want to do the ritual as you've written it. I will say, I do think like a Horus or a bird-headed god would more technically be a dinosaur god.
That is absolutely fair. Yeah. In fact, maybe we'll change that for next time. Or Toth. Toth is the one with the ibis head.
Yeah.
That would be good because Toth's also the Egyptian version of Hermes.
Okay. That makes sense for getting the message through.
Yeah. Okay. So next time it'll be Toth. Heck, we could just make it Toth right now.
Cool.
All right.
Are you gonna lead it, or should we all be saying it? Or
why don't I do this? I'll read it, and then I'll just read the words when I get to them. And you can read along with, or you can just do it in your head or whatever.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to do is light our candles and or incense, and prepare our space accordingly. You could do, when you're doing divination, you could do a full-on cast a circle ritual, wear robes, stay pure for 7 days. Even you could do that and you'll probably get it. It'll probably work really well for you, but you don't have to. Like if you're just doing a divination ritual, that's not required. Just so for the purposes of tonight, we're going to declare ourselves ritually cleansed.
I'm getting my bell out. I've told you all about this bell.
Yes,
I don't know about the bell.
Refresh your memory.
It just appeared in my house. It just appeared at one point. It's a bell. I fashioned it into a necklace, but the bell just appeared on the floor. It hadn't been like a vacuum or nothing. It was just there. Like one day it wasn't, and the next day it was. And I was like, this feels magic, right? Because it's bells too. Like I just feel like a bell is a very like, you ring a bell, you get attention, you like there's celebration. There's so many things that are communicated with bells. But it's just sort of become like it's become a thing for me that feels like a very magical practice. Like I just like to have it. I like to take it on trips. That's my bell. That's my bell that just sort of appeared in the middle of my floor one day and is mine now. And I didn't trade it for anything. That's important.
Right.
Anyone listening, this was a gift that I accepted, and I've not offered anything in exchange other than cream sometimes. But that's, I mean, if that's the trade, that's fair.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. So you're going to place your vessel on a flat surface, surrounded by, if you have fossils or amber or anything else that you have. I gotta shoot. This is a little show and tell. My partner got me this for our anniversary. It was like the porcelain anniversary, but this is it's a teacup specifically for reading tea leaves, and it's got like this cool little crow on it. And I thought it's a dinosaur. It's got a dinosaur on it, so
I love that.
That's gonna be my scrying vessel. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my UFO water. You don't have to use UFO water. It's just our water of choice here on Wufo. And when that's done, I'll give everybody a sec. I'm going to get whatever you're going to put on the water. For me, it's motor oil. This is so weird.
It's wild. I love the idea of someone just entering the stream now.
I'm kind of
you huffing the oil? All right.
No, hey. But the scent of it is it's a very visceral scent. Like it smells like something. It smells like motor oil. So I want to this thing is full of dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. They used to be up walking around, and now they do a thing with cars that I actually don't know, because I know what the gasoline does. I don't know what the oil does.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that. I pay a different person to understand what that means.
All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and pour a little of this in, probably just a few drops at first. And then I'm going to say, in the name of Ascalabus, in the name of Abbas, in the name of thrice greatest Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, I invite you, Saurian spirits. Speak to me, speak to me. Grant me the wisdom and knowledge of your people. Tell me what I wish to know. Great and ancient ancestors. And here you're going to say whatever the name of your local dinosaur is that you wanted to talk to. Okay. I call upon you to visit me, your humble descendant. And then I'm going to pour the oil in here. Oh, that was interesting. I'm actually going to put a little more water. I think I added too much oil to mine. Add a little water if you need to. Then if you happen to have amber, I was thinking it would be cool to activate it in the sense of amber being responsible for bringing back the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, of course. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to generate an electric charge. And I'm going to put it right in here. Then I'm going to breathe over the vessel. Let me grab it. It's a very common Greek ritual practice is using the breath, because pneuma, which is the word for breath, is the same word for spirit. I call upon the spirit of amber and the spirit of breath. I invoke the great names of power. Minash, Minash, Minane, Minant, Minash, Minash, Minant, Minane, Phoni, Font. Let the darkness fade and come into the light. Let the light appear. And now's when we look at and try and scry. Feel free to take a picture of your oil drops. Is anybody getting anything, or?
I've gotten like, I'm really fixated on. So the oil that I used is hard to sort of distinguish from the light of the or the color of the water itself, that's on me. But I can see it not through the actual shape of the oil on the water, but the reflection, because the line of the oil around it is catching the light and projecting a series of like really cool concentric circles. Concentric's not the right word, but overlapping circles on the bottom of the bowl, because it's a white bowl. And the shapes are really like, there's one sort of big central circle with a lot of little circles around it, and every time I breathe or anything sort of disturbs, it fluctuates out of shape into like sort of more amoeba shapes, but then after a little bit it returns to its circle. And I'm sure that's explainable, that's just sort of physics and chemistry and stuff, but like it's very interesting to me sort of how it continues to sort of returns to a shape, no matter how much it's sort of jostled or moved.
That reminds me of the evolution stuff you were talking about, and how things kind of dinosaurs changing, taking the roles on again.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the same kind of thing where it's like the reflection of the light is doing interesting things.
Yeah.
Like I have those LED lights that are kind of around, and they're making weird reflections. But I also saw something on the top that looked like two whirlpools that were like twin whirlpools going with each other almost. I don't know what was causing that, like some debris or something. But it was interesting because I saw the light of the LED reflected, and it's kind of like a static pattern. But then these whirlpools came and kind of almost like when you see black holes in space and they like distort the light as they pass by. It's kind of like that. I don't know what that means. I did ask the question about their myths. So I think that's interesting. Something to do with two whirlpools or two hurricanes or something like that too.
Well, I kind of like that you went to black holes with it. If you're thinking about myths, I think so much of like foundational myth is just like beings looking up and trying to make sense of you know, our existence based on everything that's sort of happening and above. And I think there's something especially sort of poignant to me about thinking about dinosaurs doing that, given that the sort of the general agreed upon end of the dinosaurs, like the apocalyptic event for them was,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
space and the sky, and sort of like uh the the way that an object from space changed the atmosphere so fundamentally that large life could not exist for a time, which is what, you know, paved the way for us to exist, because mammals were small generalists that could survive off of anything, and were able to survive a mass extinction event based on that. Like this idea of like space having a direct, I think we sort of in the way that we exist now, like there's so many people are sort of very easy to dismiss this idea of like gods and powerful things outside of this earth that can affect life. But that's, I mean, what is an impact crater meteor than, you know, like a big force from space changing things.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think of like dinosaurs looking at stars or whatever, the same, you know, or like
Yeah,
what
totally.
were their constellations, and
Yeah.
like what did they that's such a cool thing that they were like, do how what I don't know anything. Do like animals like pay attention to the stars or like the moon? I mean, they probably do stuff with the moon related to the moon, but
Yeah.
I mean,
what is there?
birds circumnavigate to an insane degree of like, you know what I mean? Like birds are able to navigate the globe in a really unbelievable, like precise manner, and have like understandings of like magnetism and stuff like that. I mean, that feels, you know, that feels
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah. Yeah. For some reason, I'm reminded of. So I've talked about this. Garrett and I have a mutual friend named Tim, and we've talked about this phenomena, which apparently has not just happened to us. It's reported by a number of people, which is when you get like really, really stoned, and
Okay.
you're lying in bed or something like that, and you start hearing the noises of insects.
Huh.
Like buzzing insects, like cicadas, crickets, grasshoppers, and I noticed it happening to me more and more and more frequently. And then I had this sort of hypnagogic experience where I heard, you know, the voice, like the hypnagogue, like the half awake voice,
Yeah.
basically saying like, "You're not. This is not an auditory hallucination. What's happening right now is you're hearing what it sounded like before humans were here."
Cool.
And I got that, like, and I was like, I just pictured like this, you know, the giant prehistoric dragonflies, and
Yeah,
that could be apropos of.
definitely.
I'll share my picture.
Yeah, I can send mine. Ooh, CJ's doing wax stuff. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
I just got this book, the Gods and Goblins book, and I just got it today, and I remember reading this part, Jeremy, in the very beginning from Chief Seattle, talking about there's no quiet place in the white man's cities, no place to hear the unfurling of leaves in spring or the rustle of insect wings. The clatter only seems to insult the ears. He's just talking about like all the animal sounds that we've just like lost, you know, and that's back when that, you know, at that time he was talking about how like I don't know how you live with all that noise, you know, and what do they have even then, you know?
Yeah.
So just imagine how loud it was. I mean, it's jarring for me to go to like the South and hearing all the insect sounds because that's not what it's like here.
Yeah.
Even,
well,
but
I feel like it's really representative, and this is sort of, I feel like it's really representative at, you know, we all, I mean, I can just speak for myself. I was raised in a culture that I'm assuming everyone else in this country, basically this idea of nature is separate from the self, and life as a different thing that we're not part of, that's outdoors, that's trying to get us, or it's whatever, as opposed to like a big ecosystem that we are one small part of. And so I think it's really interesting to think about, like, because I too, if I'm sleeping somewhere where there's a lot of noise outside, I'm like, the fuck is that? But that's because I was raised without it. And I think about, like, if I had been from a very young age been like taught, like, that's just the stuff, right? That's out there, and that's your stuff too. We're all stuff, we're all stuff, and we are inside of a place, but it doesn't, the walls don't separate us from being part of the natural world. And I think
Dash, were you a city kid?
Yeah,
because I don't at all claim to have the kind of relationship that like indigenous peoples describe having with the natural world. Like, as a kid who grew up on a farm, who actively raised the food that I was eating, I did have a little bit more of that kind of experience of being part of an ecosystem and not just part of capitalism.
Right.
And I think as difficult as it was to grow up in a really rural place in some ways, that's something I'm actually incredibly grateful for.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even a matter of just like, how do people look at bugs, right? Like I have had to learn to love bugs, and I do, and they're great, they're cool. But like, if no one teaches you, hey, this thing is cool when you're little, it can be scary when you're big. And I don't know. I think I like the idea of like the noises from before humans were there, but I think about like the noises from before humans decided that it was this external thing,
Yeah.
Jeremy, don't you have an essay about that? Like, nature's not a place you go to, or something?
Yeah. That's, it's out there somewhere. It's the nature is like, people always talk about escaping to nature, and they're like, oh yeah, nature, you got to visit. Let's go visit nature, and
totally.
No, that's not what's happening here. That is not what, you do not go to nature. Like, nature is like, that's I will say this though, for growing up in Florida, is that like nature will remind you that it is there, like that you are. It is not like, if you try to tell it otherwise in Florida, you're going to end up in trouble. It might not happen, it might be when your condo washes into the sea, but it'll happen. But for me, like the cicada sounds and stuff is like extremely calming. That's like peaceful and meditative. That's what like I listen to every night falling asleep. So and there's something to be said for like literally having to watch out for animals that will kill you on a day-to-day basis. Like, not gators or necessarily or anything, but like rattlesnakes and water moccasins and all of that stuff. So I wonder if that's the message from the dinosaurs tonight.
I think what and I recommend everyone take a look at CJ's Instagram with the picture of the waxwork, because it's very cool. There's a lot to look at there. I don't know if y'all saw that yet. But I think for me, I'm just seeing, like, in thinking about history and existing and sort of what we consider as the past versus like existing in it now, and the past being like this idea of artifice, I'm seeing just a lot of like, the main thing I'm seeing in here is just reflections and repetitions. And I think that is sort of the answer to me of like, and it sort of goes to the point, Garrett, that you pointed out about the thing that I had said about like everyone filling a role at some point. And I think it's just getting to like this idea of existing as part of an ecosystem, just in general, like both in the literal, like we exist as a human, one animal existing amongst other animals, but I'm also thinking about like, solidarity and community and movements. I'm looking at the people who are actually, we're better on a tangible way, and it's a get in where you fit in sort of thing. This idea that we're all going to carry the weight in different ways at different times. I'm really moved by, there's a group called PAL Action US that's like actively shutting down weapons manufacturers right now because they're the weapons that are being used to kill, Palestinian civilians. And they're like, all right, well, let's shut the companies down. And that's great. That's really cool. But not everyone can do that. I have a lot of chronic pain in my back that stops me from like climbing up a thing and tearing down and a thing. And it's like, I love it and I want to support it and I'm thinking about it. But I also, I don't know. We all have different roles, and those roles are not fixed. And I think that's really to me, a meaningful way to think about, as we think about ancestors that were the dominant form of life, like different eras of this world that are so like foreign and alien and different from anything that we could even imagine. When the air was so oxygenated that animals could be incredibly large, but also lightning strikes meant just explosions randomly, which is like, it's such a different planet to think about. But there was still like nut eaters and things that ate small creatures, and then things that ate plants, and like all of the roles, ambush predators and grazers and pollinators, and all of these things all existed and will continue to exist in different ways and different forms. And I don't know, I just think that there's something, this sucks, I'm sorry, life finds a way. Someone had to say it.
I was waiting.
I'm sorry. That sucks. But you know what I mean though? We're like everything, I think I'm mainly seeing in my bowl, I'm seeing shapes that repeat, big circles and small circles and little points where the oil has sort of fallen to the midpoint and now is making a really cool little, like almost like orb ball of light on the bottom of the bowl. But they're all just, there's one thing and then there's three reflections of it. And I think there's, some religious significance in triplicates and threes, but I'm not even getting into any of that. I'm just thinking about sort of reflections generally and how everything sort of echoes and repeats ad infinitum. And I think that to me feels like an answer to my question about just sort of existing.
That's awesome.
Kai, did you see anything in yours?
Mine, I just have a lot of, first of all, the oil that I used is like clear.
I also did, yeah.
Completely just went into a million tiny dots. So I keep like poking it around to be like, what do you have to say for yourself? It's like, I'm a million tiny dots. I don't know.
What was your question? Did you have a question you were thinking about?
No, I was just like, lines open. What do you want to say?
Maybe it's saying we are legion.
But I put my Corporalite in there, and when I first put the oil in, it was like a whole bunch of bubbles were coming out of it. So it seems like there's a fart joke there.
Oh.
Maybe. Dinosaur farts.
The universal language.
That's right. Did you see anything, Garrett, in yours?
Just that whirlpool or the black hole kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna put mine up real quick. So, what was it?
Hear the thing about a telescope? And I saw this on TikTok, so it's 100% true. Somebody fact checked it, please, because I don't know. But the most recent evidence we have of life on other planets is one planet that they figured out has the kind of gas that is expelled by living creatures through burps and farts.
I saw this too.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
And it's so cool. And that's the fucking, fart joke, life, existence, totally. And that's maybe one way that we're pretty sure there's stuff living there is because there's fart particles. and
I
think
love that.
is spectacular.
So here's my
Oh, cool!
guy.
Wow.
The orb in the middle is the amber. It's the amber.
Yeah.
Yeah. But up on the top there, the way those circles are, like there's
Wow.
like
Did you have a question?
I was asking about the mythology.
Oh.
As
Do you see
well.
how they get smaller or bigger? There's a
Yeah.
big one, and then it's almost like the evolution, like a monkey to man kind of thing,
Yeah.
like a timeline.
Well, and that sort of, if you think about it, that does make sense in terms of like, again, the harsher the atmosphere gets, the smaller life gets. That's why bugs aren't as big anymore. That's why creatures in general, there's not as much megafauna. So if you sort of trace this as like big to small, that is sort of like, that is dinosaurs to birds, kind of, right?
Yeah, I wonder if they had like some stories to tell about why they're getting smaller, or do they tell stories about like the giants of their past?
Yeah.
Like how we talk about that. That's kind of fun.
The bubbles
That's
do
really
look very,
interesting.
very egg-like.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
can you pull up CJ's candle one? Because I think that could be cool to look at.
Yeah, let me pull it up. It's on Insta. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see here. Hang on. Right. I found it. I think. Does that look right?
Yeah.
Looks like it's swimming.
Yeah.
That's funny because I kind of see can you see my pointer too?
Yeah.
Or just, yeah. I kind of see a chicken like here.
I was gonna say, I see it's
Ooh.
almost like chocobo kind of.
Yeah. And like here's the chicken's like the whatever they call that.
CJ, what was your question?
And then here's the outline of it swimming. I can see that too.
Huh. That kind of looks too like the same answer, like the dinosaur looking up at the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that idea. Something about that. Isn't there in the first Jurassic Park when they're up in the tree and the big old like brachiosaur?
Yeah.
Is like the moon in the background? Are they kind of, I'm trying to think of that image of what
I can't remember.
Yeah, I like this idea of like dinosaurs stargazing. It's such a weird idea.
That's cool. It's a really cool idea.
I don't know.
Like maybe that they were thinking we were going to go up there.
or did they like look for UFOs too? Like they were like, what are those things?
Yeah, I mean, like if we think UFOs are a tangible other thing that exists outside of the concept of existing with us, then surely they would have been back there too, right?
Yeah.
And even if they do, even if we are thinking of UFOs as a sort of a reflection of our curiosity and sort of as existing as like a projection from the inside of our brain, like surely dinosaurs also were curious. And yeah.
Do you think that their UFOs look significantly different than ours?
I was just thinking the same fucking thing. I was just thinking this. Like, what would it look like?
Or would it look how visual were dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like T-Rex had binocular vision. The T-Rex had really good vision.
Yeah.
Other ones did not, though. That's been wild for me to understand. Like rhinoceroses can't see shit. I don't know if you knew that. Rhinoceroses are constantly attacking other rhinoceroses because they like get close to them a little bit too quick, and they're like, this is a threat." And like I think it really depended on the dinosaur, probably.
Yeah. And I think the animal with the most advanced vision is a shrimp, if I recall correctly.
Oh, the mantis shrimp has.
Yes. Yeah.
Mantis shrimp has a crazy vision.
You can see in like 5 dimensions or something like.
Well, it's like and this one fucks me up. I'll say, and this is just like high thoughts, but this fucks me up a lot is whenever someone's like, "Oh yeah, dogs can see a color that you can't see," or mantis shrimp can see a color that you can't see. It bothers me a lot that I can't imagine what it is. Do you know?
Yeah.
Because like you can't imagine a color that you can't see, and that pisses me off a little bit.
Is it at all like the way that we're not able to see like ultraviolet, but in a blacklight environment, we can kind of perceive it? Like, I wonder if there's a way that's like an analog that would kind of trick our brain into understanding something.
This maybe it fucks me up though, because it's like it's not just colors, you know. Like think about an animal with 360-degree vision, right?
Mhm.
And then try to imagine perceiving as that, you know.
Like, it makes me motion sick just thinking about it.
Chameleons, little shitheads. They can see it's it's not
right.
not fair.
Right, and with like separately controlled eyeball stalks, even, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, what is that? To just be like, let me look up and to the left while I look down and to the right at the same time.
Helen White says, imagining having echolocation. You can learn to echolocate. That's a thing that is a thing that humans can do, Helen White. Yeah. So I think it takes something like 10 to 12 months of like steady practice, but you absolutely can learn to echolocate. And that I learned that like last year, and that made me so mad that no one told me that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually my kid and I, that was gonna be our project during the pandemic. We didn't.
You gotta do it. You should do it. I keep saying I'm gonna do it. I won't, but you should do it.
Some folks who are visually impaired use that. Like there's a person who rides a bike and is visually impaired, and it's like partly because of that they're able to.
Yeah, so cool.
It's wild that we could just do that. It seems like something you could just be Daredevil. You could be out there Daredeviling, and
or you could be like some kind of man bat.
Yeah,
you know,
like a man bat, like regular Batman villain, man bat.
Well, I think I might. I'm gonna sleep on mine for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. That's one other thing I was reading, because I've been reading this really good. I was talking about it last week a little bit about this book on Greek divination and the way that they conceived of it as like it was almost like when we do divination, there's this idea that like, oh, we're trying to find out what's going to happen. We're trying to get insight into like future events or something like that. Yeah. To the Greeks, it was more like you got a vague statement from the oracle or from your whatever you were using for divination, and your job then became to interpret it in the best possible way.
Okay.
And the other things that this book was saying that I didn't think about was the Greeks believed that if you did a divination for somebody, they needed to think about it for at least a week or so.
Huh.
Before coming up with like what it probably meant.
That makes sense.
Like you're not supposed to like just go, oh, okay, and dive right into it. Like you're supposed to And I think that's something that's really interesting because our culture of like online divination into like, I'm going to do like 20 cards for 20 people and give them each one a different meaning. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, I think that's fine too, but there's something really to be said for like thinking about it, pondering it. Like that's going to make it even more.
Do any of the approved readers ever just be like, I need to think about this for a week?
No, they never do. Approved readers are they're very much like, I'm going to tell you what I think the Lifetime original movie about this would be answer wise. I think about this stuff a lot in terms of like divination and instant divination and stuff that you can do, because I think about it in the context of a person trying to make a TV show about doing spooky stuff, where there are so many cool things that I'm like, no one wants to watch me do that though, you know? And so I think it's very interesting to think about trying to like, I love the idea of like of mirror scrying, but I'm thinking like, how would I make mirror scrying a thing that a network would not be like, the fuck are you doing? What is this? And so I think there's something very interesting about thinking about like how we adapt the idea of divination to what we're existing in. Because if I'm being completely real, I don't think that there's a wrong way to do it, you know? Like I see people doing like tarot style reads on like a Sesame Street alphabet card, and I'm like, sick, cool. Let's see what it's got to say.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something very interesting about. I don't know. I don't think there's any. I don't think that there's like a wrong way to. And I mean, that's a sort of. I'm sorry for summarizing your entire organization to you, but there is no wrong way to talk to weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe dinosaurs will come to you in your dreams and be like, actually, this is what the circles meant.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm holding out for that possibility. It's getting late though. I think I'm going to close down the ritual.
Yeah, what do we need to do?
So, you know, once your question has or hasn't been answered, you just recite the following. You just say, thanks to you, great ancestors, aerial friends from so long ago. I dismiss you into the peace of eternity.
Thanks to you, great ancestors, aerial friends from so long ago. I dismiss you into the peace of eternity.
Thanks, friends.
What
And
they
then you
said.
can, you know, you take your scrying materials and save them for later, or dispose of them in any way that you'd like. All right.
Right.
That was so fun.
This was great. Thank you for having me on this. And taking an idea I had and making it into an actual thing. I love when people do that.
Yeah, same.
Can I plug a thing?
Yes, please.
Please.
Plugs.
This ends on Friday, but my partner is running their studio is running an auction called Prints for Palestine, and it is a fundraiser auction. There's a lot of cool art that people are bidding on, and all of the proceeds are going to Medical Aid Palestine, which is a really cool organization that is providing medical aid or trying to provide medical aid in Palestine. And the auction ends Friday. Printsforpalestine.com is the website, and I encourage anyone to check it out and see if there's any cool art that they want to get a bid in on.
Awesome. I was going to put up the link, but you know what? We're about to close. So. But everybody should definitely check it out. You know what? I never told that long ghost story.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to have to wait.
Well,
going to have to tune in again.
And that's how you get them.
That's how. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. I think we're going to go do our next thing. I'd say look for UFOs outside, but it's like pouring here right now. So
Yeah, it's 1:30 a.m. where I am, so I'm gonna go look for sleepies in my bed.
Yes. Well, thanks for staying up for so long to hang.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm
Yep.
glad we did this.
And thanks to everybody who watched. And yeah, archive will be up tomorrow, so feel free to check it out if you missed any of it. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next one.